We're returning back to our top story here in France. That's, of course, the French Prime Minister Sebastien Lecornu, who has resigned. Today, we have various political parties who are meeting, including the Socialists, who've just wrapped up their meeting. Let's listen to what they are saying.
Three. And we will propose measures that are strong, such as taxing the very rich, as well as having a debate on pension reform that has to be carried out within Parliament. At this current juncture, we are not calling for dissolution. Neither are we calling for the President to stand down. We are calling for solutions that will allow French men and women to be able to be respected, to live better lives, and not to pay the bill for this crisis. If the President chose to dissolve Parliament, we would be ready, or at least we would be able to present a coherent and credible political program in order to govern France. And we will do everything in order to avoid the far right from coming to power, which we see as a danger for France and for French workers. In the following hours, we shall meet our political partners from the left and the Greens, from the Place Publique and the Communist Party as well, parties that share our ambition to work together, to govern together in order to find a way out from this political crisis. Thank you. We will meet our partners, our vision, meaning partners that will be able to defend and present solutions for French citizens. We are going to meet our partners from the left and the Green Party, which we've been working with for months. But to be very clear, in the current crisis, the problem is not just a problem between political parties. We had very clear announcements today, and we hope that they yield results.
You were listening to a statement from the Socialist Party headquarters this after they met this afternoon in the wake of France's Prime Minister Sebastien Lecornu stepping down. The statement there essentially said that they would do everything in their power to prevent the far right from emerging. Whatever happens and whatever scenario the president decides to choose. And he did say that the left would be meeting, the left and the Greens with the Socialists, but didn't spell out if that would include the far left, France Unbowed. For more on all of this, we can bring in our international affairs editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, a lot happening in the past few hours here in France, a political earthquake or storm, one can argue. What are the options here really realistically on the table, given that Emmanuel Macron domestically has no power? He has power on the international stage, and we see him use it. But domestically, it's all very fractured. He cannot keep a prime minister in their post now for, 27 days? He has this budget, which he needs to shave 44 billion euros off from next year's budget. What are the options realistically that he has?
Yeah, it's interesting that you draw that comparison between his stature on the international stage and here in France. Quite often when you speak to people outside France, they seem quite impressed. They might agree or disagree with Macron, but they think he's a serious player. Here in France, he is very, very disliked for all sorts of reasons. Many people see him as too far to the right. Some say he simply can't decide. He hovers between the right and the left. There are a number of reasons. He, had a problem with the way he projected himself. He was seen as arrogant, all of that. So the major problem behind all of this is his choice to dissolve Parliament, as we've said, no doubt, a million times today, back in June. Looking at that speech there from the Socialist Party, that is very interesting, because if you look at Emmanuel Macron's choices now, he can either appoint another prime minister. He is running out of options. There are people are saying, well, what about choosing someone from the left? His argument in the past was, I can't do that because a prime minister on the left would immediately be toppled. Well, that has happened on the right anyway, but it would still happen on the left. So that isn't much of a solution. It's conceivable he might try to cobble together some sort of government of technocrats, but even technocrats, it's very difficult to find people who aren't in some way attached to a political label in terms of what they've said in the past. And that would immediately make that difficult. The other option, of course, and we'll talk about that in a second, is dissolving Parliament again, because we're now past the time limit when you can after the June 24 dissolution. And the other nuclear option, which he has ruled out, but it might end up happening, is he himself resigning. He's not going to do that now. The dissolving Parliament... The Socialist speaker there saying, we will do all that we can in our power to stop the Rassemblement National, the far right, getting into power. All of the polls show that if Parliament is dissolved, that they would do extremely well. And there is a very interesting poll out very recently, a week ago, which shows that whereas before... It's a two-round voting system in France, so people say with their heart the first time, and then the second time they might vote to block a candidate they particularly didn't want. In 2024, the idea, the cordon sanitaire, as the French call it, of doing anything, voting for any candidate to make sure that Marine Le Pen and the far right do not get into power in France, worked to Emmanuel Macron's surprise somewhat. This time around, 58% of voters say they would not do anything to block the Rassemblement National. And 46% only say that they would do that. And 58% say they would do anything to block the far left, Jean-Luc Mélenchon's far left. It is clear, if you look at polls in France, also about the subjects people care about, their priority subject, law and order, is way ahead of all of the other subjects. When you look at what are their worries. France, as an electorate, has swung to the right. And so trying to find some sort of parliamentary representation which represents that, but at the same time doesn't leave without a voice those who are not on the right, is proving extremely difficult.
Angela, I'm just curious. We often talk about, here on France 24, about efforts being made to block the far right from coming to power. But what did the far left do in the past year and a half, one could argue, to make it untouchable for many in this country? What did the far left do?
To make it untouchable, as in we will not vote for it. Well, they had a policy when they were elected to Parliament of, this was back in 2022 when they did very well, and before this first dissolution, of throwing the rule book out the window, dressing in outlandish outfits, no suit and tie. This is about representing the people. That's a small detail. But it made quite an impact. They were very vociferous, very voluble, shouted down other MPs. They refused to shake hands with far-right MPs, even when that was traditionally accepted, no matter what you think of their politics. They were very loud, very noisy, and very unbowed. Their party is called La France Insoumise, France Unbowed, and they made that their tactic. It didn't go down very well. I think most French people appeared to think, look, Parliament is Parliament. There need to be certain rules. There needs to be a certain respect. It doesn't work if you throw the rule book out the window. So that was one thing they did wrong. The other thing is that this bloc, this far-left bloc that was cobbled together, was only cobbled together so that as many of them as possible on the Socialists, the Greens, the Communists, and the biggest party, La France Insoumise, would have a sizable bloc in Parliament. And it very quickly frayed. Everyone said it would, and it did. And they were... there was a lot of public disagreement between them. Jean-Luc Mélenchon now trying to resurrect it. He might succeed, we don't know, because a lot of socialists are very worried. If there is a dissolution, an awful lot of them might lose their seats.